The holographic display cast an eerie blue glow across Captain Daho Park's face. Lines of worry had etched themselves deeper into his skin over the past decade of service. He rubbed his eyes and continued studying Earth's defensive network, a modest array of satellites, orbital platforms, and a small fleet of ships scattered throughout the solar system. "Another late night, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Ju-Rik Kim as she entered the command center of the Orbital Defense Station Alpha. Her uniform was pristine despite the late hour. "Someone has to keep watch," Park replied with a tired smile. "The Council thinks our biggest threats are pirates and smugglers. I'm not so sure." Humanity had accomplished much since the Great Unification of 2098. Mars hosted 3 major cities beneath massive domes. The Moon had become a hub for manufacturing and research. Mining operations dotted the asteroid belt. Yet compared to the vast darkness between stars, human presence remained a tiny spark of light. Lieutenant Kim settled at her station and began her regular sensor sweep. Her fingers danced across the quantum interface, light particles responding to her movements as the system extended humanity's electronic senses far into the void. Her hands suddenly froze mid-motion. "Captain, I'm detecting something unusual beyond Neptune's orbit." Park moved to her station. "Natural phenomenon." "No, sir. The patterns are too regular. These are artificial signals, unlike anything in our databases." Park's pulse quickened. "Alert status yellow. Get me a direct line to Earth Command." Within minutes, every observatory and sensor array in the solar system focused on the source of the signals. The data confirmed what many had both hoped and feared for generations. Humanity was not alone. The first visual contact came 12 hours later. A fleet of ships emerged from the darkness beyond Neptune, their designs utterly alien, curved, asymmetrical vessels that seemed to bend light around them. Earth erupted in panic and celebration. Religious leaders claimed vindication. Scientists demanded immediate research access. Military commanders requested emergency powers. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Hegemony, a coalition of 12 species united under a single governance structure. Their initial transmissions were peaceful, requesting a delegation to meet with Earth's leaders. Park watched the meeting from the station's observation deck as the alien ambassador arrived at the United Council headquarters in Geneva. The beam stood nearly 3 meters tall, its body composed of what appeared to be living crystal structures that shifted and flowed as it moved. The ambassador's voice translated through Earth's communication systems. "We welcome humanity to the greater galactic community. Your species has demonstrated remarkable resilience and ingenuity, developing faster than most emerging civilizations." Council President Yoon smiled broadly for the cameras. "We are honored by your arrival and look forward to learning from your advanced cultures." The ambassador's crystalline form flickered with internal light. "The hegemony offers Earth protection and guidance. Your technology is quaint. Under our protection, you will flourish, though certain restrictions will apply for galactic stability." The terms followed. Earth would be classified as a protected species with limited autonomy. Technology development would be supervised. Space exploration beyond the current solar system would require permission. Resource extraction would follow hegemony quotas. In exchange, humans would receive access to basic medical and agricultural advancements. While the Council debated the offer, Major Ta Wu Li worked tirelessly in the intelligence center beneath Seoul. Something about the hegemony's communications felt wrong to him. Subtle patterns hidden within their transmissions that didn't align with their stated peaceful intentions. Using quantum decryption algorithms, Li began analyzing the alien signals. For 3 days, he barely slept, subsisting on synthetic caffeine and determination. On the 4th day, he succeeded in breaking a portion of their code. "Captain Park, I need to speak with you immediately." Li's message read. "Eyes only." Park met him in a secure communication room. Li looked exhausted, his eyes red-rimmed. "They're lying to us," Li said without preamble. "I've decoded some of their internal communications. The hegemony isn't here to welcome us. They are assessing whether we're worth preserving or eliminating. He displayed the translated messages. The aliens described humans as potentially disruptive, genetically unusual, and showing concerning patterns of rapid advancement. Their leadership debated whether Earth should be contained, restricted, or neutralized. "We need to warn the Council," Park said, reaching for the communication panel. "It's too late," Lee replied, pointing to a live sensor feed. "Look." The hegemony ships had changed formation. From the shadow of Neptune, dozens of new vessels appeared, warships with visible weapons arrays now activated and glowing with energy. Park sprinted back to Command Center. Alert status read. "All defense platforms activate. All ships to battle stations." Lieutenant Kim looked up in shock. "Sir, they're moving toward Earth at high velocity. Weapons signatures detected." The first shots from the alien vessels destroyed 3 of Earth's outer sensor stations. The hegemony's true intentions were now clear. Park opened a channel to all Earth forces. "This is Captain Park. The diplomatic approach has failed. The hegemony intends to subjugate or destroy us. All ships form defensive formation Sigma. Prepare to engage." Earth's modest fleet, 47 combat-capable vessels, moved to intercept a force more than 5 times their number. The odds seemed impossible, but retreat meant leaving Earth defenseless. Park stood tall on his command deck, watching as his ships aligned themselves between Earth and the oncoming threat. His face remained calm despite the fear churning in his stomach. "Lieutenant Kim, arm all weapons. Divert power from life support if necessary." "What are our chances, sir?" a young ensign asked, voice shaking. Park looked at the brave men and women around him, then at the blue planet visible through the observation window, home to 12 billion souls unaware that their fate hung in the balance. "Humanity has faced impossible odds before," he said, his voice steady and clear across all channels. "All ships, defensive formation Sigma. Today we stand not just for ourselves, but for every human who has ever lived and all who might yet live. Humanity stands today." The first blasts of enemy fire streaked toward them, bright against the darkness of space. The EDS Sentinel rocked violently as another hegemony energy blast tore through its failing shields. Captain Park grabbed the command console to stay upright as emergency lights flashed red throughout the bridge. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Lieutenant Kim shouted over the alarms. Automatic seals engaged. Through the view screen, Park watched in horror as Earth's orbital defense platforms, humanity's first line of protection, disintegrated one after another under the alien assault. The platforms had been built to withstand meteors and nuclear strikes, yet the hegemony weapons cut through them like paper. "Status report on the fleet," Park demanded, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. 17 ships destroyed. 22 damaged but operational. 8 still at full capacity, Kim reported, her voice steadier than her hands. The odds had been poor from the start. Now they were impossible. Yet Earth's defenders fought on, buying time for the planet below to prepare whatever defenses it could muster. "Sir, we're receiving an encrypted transmission from Major Lee," Kim said. "He's requesting immediate extraction from Antarctica with a team of 5 specialists." Park frowned. "Antarctica? What's he doing there during a planetary assault?" His message mentioned something called Black Armada and claims it's our only hope. Hope was in short supply. Park made his decision. "Divert the EDS Harbin to his coordinates for extraction. We'll cover them." On Earth, Major Lee led his team through howling Antarctic winds toward the coordinates he discovered in classified archives. Files so secret that even mentioning them carried a death sentence in peacetime. Dr. Jai-Yun Kang trudged beside him, her face barely visible behind protective gear. As the team's historian, she was the only one who might make sense of what they hoped to find. "There." Lee pointed toward a rocky outcropping that matched the coordinates. "Ground-penetrating scans show a hollow area beneath that ridge." The team deployed drilling equipment, cutting through ice that had remained undisturbed for millennia. After 30 meters, they broke through to an artificial tunnel. These walls. Dr. Kang ran her gloved hand along the smooth black surface. They're not made of any material I recognize. The tunnel led to a vast chamber deep beneath the ice. Despite being buried for countless years, the air inside was breathable and oddly warm. My grandfather was part of the excavation team that found this place in 2089. Dr. Kang explained as they explored the chamber. They discovered references to something called the Black Armada, but the project was buried as scientific impossibility. Lee shined his light around the chamber. Unlike modern facilities with their screens and keyboards, this room contained no recognizable technology. At its center stood a black crystalline structure resembling an altar, with handprint-shaped depressions embedded in its surface. "What is this place?" asked Sergeant Min Ho-Baek, the team's security specialist. "According to the classified files, it's one of several activation nodes," Lee replied, "supposedly left by our ancestors." Dr. Kang examined symbols etched into the crystalline altar. These markings are similar to ancient human writing systems, but also contain protein sequences and genetic markers. "Can you read it?" Lee asked. "Partially. These records suggest the activation sequence is encoded in human DNA," Dr. Kang said. "Not all DNA, just specific lineages." Above them, the sky burned. The hegemony had moved from military targets to civilian ones. Orbital strikes hit major cities worldwide. Seoul, Tokyo, New York, Lagos, all under bombardment. Millions dying with each passing hour. In the chamber, Major Lee placed his palm against one of the depressions. The team waited, but nothing happened. "Why isn't it working?" Sergeant Buck demanded. "We're running out of time." Dr. Kang studied the symbols more carefully. "Wait, I think I understand now. It needs more than one person. The symbols talk about the chorus and the many becoming one. It needs more," Dr. Kang realized. "It needs a chorus. Many humans connecting simultaneously." Lee's mind raced. "We need to broadcast the activation protocol to all human settlements." Using their emergency transmitter, they sent a message to the Sentinel. Captain Park, despite his skepticism, relayed their findings to all remaining human forces. The message spread across every available channel, a set of instructions asking all humans to press their hands against any flat surface while focusing on Earth's survival. "This is madness," Sergeant Bake muttered as they waited. "No," Lee replied. "It's our last hope." Across the dying Earth, in underground shelters and damaged buildings, people followed the strange instructions. On Mars colonies and lunar bases, humans pressed their palms against walls and screens. Even aboard the battered defense fleet, crew members not engaged in combat joined the effort. In the Antarctic chamber, the altar began to glow with soft blue light. Major Lee and his team placed their hands on its surface, adding their consciousness to the growing network. Dr. Kang gasped as information flooded her mind. Images and knowledge from something ancient and powerful. Deep in the asteroid belt, a massive object classified as a dwarf planet began to change. Its surface cracked, revealing machinery that had lain dormant for thousands of years. Beneath the Martian soil, near Olympus Mons, the ground shifted as enormous structures rose from hidden chambers. On several of Jupiter's moons, particularly Ganymede and Callisto, what had appeared to be natural formations revealed themselves as artificial constructs of impossible size and complexity. Captain Park watched in awe as his ship's sensors detected massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Objects previously identified as natural phenomena were transforming before their eyes. "What are we seeing?" Lieutenant Kim whispered. Before Park could answer, a massive vessel emerged from within Ceres, a ship of such size and strange configuration that it defied human engineering principles. Its surface absorbed light rather than reflected it, appearing as a void against the stars. Then another appeared, and another. Dozens, then hundreds of enormous black ships awakened from their ancient slumber. In the Antarctic chamber, Major Lee's mind filled with understanding as the neural network connected all of humanity to the awakening Armada. "They're ours," he said in wonder. "They've always been ours, waiting for us to need them." The first of the Black Armada vessels moved with impossible speed toward Earth's orbit, positioning itself between the planet and the hegemony fleet. It dwarfed the alien ships, making them look like toys in comparison. The hegemony commander opened a channel, voice filled with something humans had not yet heard from the aliens. "Fear. What is this abomination? This technology is forbidden." Major Lee smiled as knowledge from the awakened system flowed through him. "Not forbidden," he replied through the connection. "Just forgotten." And now, remembered. The Black Armada had awakened. Humanity would not fall today. Throughout the solar system, ancient machines stirred to life. The most dramatic awakening occurred within Ceres, long classified as a dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. Its surface cracked along previously invisible seams, massive sections shifting apart like a blooming flower. From within its hollow core emerged a vessel of staggering proportions. "My God," breathed Lieutenant Kim aboard the damaged Sentinel. The asteroid was a shell. Captain Park could only stare at the sensor readings. The object emerging from Ceres stretched nearly 200 kilometers in length, with a design unlike anything humans had ever built. Its surface didn't reflect light. It seemed to consume it, appearing as a perfect void against the stars, its edges defined only by the absence of light behind it. "It's not just big," Park said. "It's impossible." The vessel moved with a grace that defied its enormous size, accelerating at speeds that should have torn apart any conventional structure. It was soon joined by others, similar ships emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. Some rose from beneath the Martian surface. Others appeared from within Jupiter's moons. Several manifested from what had been classified as uninhabited asteroids. Within minutes, over 300 Black Armada vessels had revealed themselves. In the ancient chamber beneath Antarctica, Major Lee and his team watched in wonder as the crystalline altar transformed. A holographic interface shimmered into existence, displaying symbols and images that somehow felt familiar despite their alien appearance. As Lee studied the interface, information began flowing directly into his mind. It wasn't like reading or viewing. It was as if memories long forgotten were suddenly returning. "The ships," he gasped. "They're designed to bond with human pilots. They respond to our neural patterns, our consciousness." Dr. Kang reached toward the holographic display. "How is this possible?" "Quantum entanglement at the neural level," Lee replied, words coming from knowledge he hadn't possessed moments before. "Our ancestors built these vessels to merge consciousness with technology." The information stream intensified. Lee saw flashes of a vast human civilization, spanning hundreds of star systems. He witnessed terrible wars against enemies who sought to exterminate humanity. He felt the desperation that led to the creation of the Black Armada, weapons of last resort, hidden throughout human territory. "I understand now," he whispered, eyes wide with realization. "We were never alone." The holographic display shifted, showing the current positions of all Armada vessels in the solar system. Several were now moving to intercept the hegemony fleet threatening Earth. "They're responding to the neural network we created," Dr. Kang said. The connection of all humanity focusing on survival activated more than just the ships. It woke up something within us. In Earth orbit, Captain Park watched the approach of the Black Armada vessels with a mixture of hope and disbelief. His damaged ship drifted among the remnants of Earth's shattered defense fleet, a testament to humanity's brave but futile stand against the hegemony's superior technology. Now, however, the odds had dramatically shifted. The lead Armada vessel positioned itself between Earth and the hegemony fleet. Without warning or visible weapon ports, it released a beam of energy so dark it appeared as a slice of nothingness cutting through space. The beam passed through the shields of a hegemony battlecruiser as if they didn't exist, slicing the alien vessel in half. Similar attacks came from other Armada ships, each strike precise and devastating. The hegemony vessels, previously so confident in their technological superiority, scattered in disarray. "Captain," Lieutenant Kim called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead hegemony vessel. They're demanding to speak with whoever controls these new ships." Park nodded. "Put it through." The view screen displayed the crystalline form of the hegemony admiral, its structure now pulsing with agitated patterns of light. "What are these abominations?" the admiral demanded. "This technology is forbidden throughout the known galaxy. Who dares to deploy weapons of the ancients?" Before Park could respond, a new transmission joined the channel. Major Lee's face appeared, but something about him had changed. His eyes glowed with a faint blue light, and he spoke with a calm authority that seemed beyond his military rank. "Not forbidden," he replied, "just forgotten." Lee smiled, but the expression held sadness as well. "You recognize these ships, don't you, Admiral? Your people have encountered them before, long ago." The crystalline admiral seemed to recoil. "Impossible. The extinction wars ended millennia ago. The precursors were defeated." "Not defeated," Lee corrected. "We chose to retreat. Humanity didn't evolve on Earth. We retreated here after the Sundering Wars. We erased our own memories, buried our technology, and started anew on our ancestral homeworld. The Armada was our guardian, programmed to sleep until we faced extinction." Captain Park stared at the screen in shock. "Major, what are you saying?" "I'm accessing knowledge stored within the Armada's systems," Lee explained. "Our history isn't what we thought. Humans once controlled vast regions of the galaxy. We fought a devastating war against several species that now make up the hegemony." The Admiral's crystalline form pulsed rapidly. "These claims are absurd. Humans are primitives, barely worth notice." "That was the point," Lee replied. "After the war, our ancestors realized that victory would mean becoming like our enemies. Instead, they chose to retreat, to start fresh. They erased our technological knowledge and stored it within these ships, programmed to return only when humanity truly needed them." On screens throughout the solar system, humans watched in amazement as the Black Armada vessels continued to systematically neutralize the hegemony threat. The alien ships that had seemed so advanced and unstoppable now appeared primitive compared to the awakened guardians. The hegemony fleet began to withdraw, retreating beyond Mars' orbit. The Admiral's final transmission was brief. "This is not over. The full might of the hegemony will respond to this violation." In the Antarctic chamber, Major Lee disconnected from the holographic interface. The knowledge remained, but the direct link faded. "They'll be back," he told his team, "with more ships. The hegemony controls thousands of star systems. They won't tolerate the reemergence of humanity as a power." Dr. Kang looked troubled. "If what you learned is true, we abandoned our advanced civilization to escape endless war. By awakening the Armada, haven't we just restarted that cycle?" Major Lee had no answer. Outside, the snow continued to fall on an Antarctica unchanged for thousands of years, or perhaps, as they now knew, merely sleeping. In orbit, Captain Park watched the Black Armada vessels take up defensive positions around Earth. Their presence promised protection, but also raised profound questions about humanity's past and future. The first battle was over. Humanity had survived. But the war, a war perhaps millions of years old, had only just reawakened. The hegemony kept its promise. 7 days after their initial defeat, they returned with a vengeance. This time, their fleet darkened the space between Mars and Jupiter. Thousands of warships from across their vast alliance, all converging on Earth. Captain Park stood on the newly repaired bridge of the Sentinel. The ship had been hastily fixed using technology from the Black Armada, making it stronger than before. "They'd brought everything," Lieutenant Kim said, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. The tactical display showed enemy ships outnumbering the awakened Armada by at least 5-1. "All Earth vessels form up behind the Armada's defensive line," Park ordered. "We know their weapons are superior, but we still have a role to play." The hegemony commander's transmission reach all human communication systems simultaneously. The crystalline being's voice was cold and measured. Your primitive species has somehow activated forbidden technology. This violation cannot stand. Surrender the Black Armada vessels immediately, and the hegemony will show mercy. Refuse and Earth will be reduced to ash. Park was about to respond when Major Lee's voice cut in from the Armada flagship where he had established his command. No negotiations with those who came to destroy us, Lee said. Prepare for combat. The massive hegemony fleet advanced as one, weapons charging. The Black Armada ships moved to intercept, forming a protective barrier around Earth. Despite their advanced technology, they were greatly outnumbered. As the first energy blasts lit up the void between the opposing forces, something unexpected happened. 3 distinct sections of the hegemony fleet suddenly broke formation, their weapons turning against their former allies. The Sentinel's communication officer called out in surprise. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions from the ships that just changed sides." A new face appeared on the view screen, a reptilian being with scaled skin of deep green and amber eyes with vertical pupils. Unlike the crystalline hegemony leaders, this creature looked almost like something that could have evolved on Earth. "I am Commander Sook of the Nath Confederation," the reptilian being said. "We fight with you now, humans of Earth." Park stared in confusion. "Why would you turn against your own alliance?" The reptilian commander's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "We were allies once, in the old times," he explained. "My ancestors swore to protect humanity should you ever return. We've waited generations to fulfill that promise." The Nath ships, along with vessels from 2 other species, the aquatic myth and the insectoid Karen, moved to join the Black Armada's defensive line. Together, they engaged the main hegemony force. On the Armada flagship, Major Lee stood within a control chamber unlike anything built by modern humans. Rather than screens and buttons, the ship responded directly to his thoughts, showing him tactical information as glowing 3-dimensional displays that shifted and moved around him. Through his neural link with the ship, Lee accessed more of humanity's hidden history. The images flowed into his mind. Vast human cities spanning entire planets, peaceful exchanges with allied species including the ancestors of the Nath, Myth, and Karen. He also saw the beginning of the conflict, the crystalline collective, now the dominant species in the hegemony, attacking human worlds without warning. The long, devastating war that followed, the development of the Black Armada as a last resort, and finally, the difficult decision to retreat to Earth, erasing their own technological knowledge and memories to start anew. The dominant hegemony species, they were our ancient enemies, Lee explained during an emergency meeting with Earth's leadership, his image projected from the Armada flagship. "They've been watching us, keeping us isolated. When they detected our rediscovery of quantum physics, they decided we were becoming dangerous again." United Council President Yoon looked shaken. "Are you saying our entire understanding of human history is wrong? That we're actually refugees from our own advanced civilization?" "Yes," Lee replied simply. "The evidence is undeniable. The knowledge is encoded in the Armada systems. And now, in me. Outside Earth's atmosphere, the battle rage. The Black Armada vessels demonstrated technologies that seemed like magic, ships phase-shifting through solid matter to avoid enemy fire, weapons that manipulated gravity itself, vessels moving vast distances instantaneously without apparent propulsion. The hegemony still outnumbered them, but with the addition of their new allies, humanity's defenders held their ground. Captain Park's Sentinel led a squadron of Earth's remaining ships in defensive patterns around the planet's vulnerable areas. Though primitive compared to both the Armada and the hegemony vessels, Earth's fleet fought with determination, protecting evacuation ships carrying civilians to underground shelters. "Captain, 3 hegemony destroyers breaking through Sector 7. Lieutenant Kim called out. Park didn't hesitate. "Intercept course. All power to forward shields." The Sentinel placed itself in the path of the alien ships, absorbing the brunt of their attack. The ship shuddered, but the enhanced shields held. "Return fire," Park ordered calmly. On the Armada flagship, Major Lee coordinated strategy with Commander Sook and the other allied species. Through the neural link, he could perceive the entire battlefield at once, directing the Black Armada vessels with precision impossible for conventional command structures. "The crystallines fear you," Commander Sook explained during a brief respite in the fighting. "They remember what humanity was capable of. Why do you think they've worked so hard to keep your kind isolated? They've been monitoring Earth for centuries, ensuring you developed along predictable lines." "What changed?" Lee asked. "Why attack now?" "Your quantum technology," replied the reptilian commander. "It was advancing too quickly. Some of your scientists were beginning to rediscover principles that might have led to awakening the Armada naturally. The crystallines couldn't risk that." The battle expanded beyond Earth's orbit, spreading across the solar system. Fighting raged around Mars' orbital stations and throughout the asteroid belt. The hegemony attempted to establish a foothold on Jupiter's moons, but the Armada vessels, capable of instantaneous travel between points in space, continually outmaneuvered them. Captain Park's ship suffered heavy damage, defending a civilian colony on Lunar Station Beta. As emergency repairs were underway, he received a direct communication from Major Lee. "The tide is turning," Lee said, his eyes glowing with the blue light that now permanently marked his connection to the Armada. "But this is just the beginning. The hegemony controls thousands of worlds. They'll keep coming." Park looked at his damaged bridge, at the tired but determined faces of his crew. "Then we'll keep fighting. Humanity survived extinction once by hiding. We won't hide again." The battle continued across the stars that had once been humanity's domain, and perhaps would be again. The war spread across the solar system for 3 weeks. Battles raged from Mercury's scorched surface to the icy moons of Neptune. Earth suffered, but the Black Armada's protection prevented total destruction. Now the final confrontation was set to unfold. "They're concentrating everything they have left at Jupiter," Lieutenant Kim reported from her station on the Sentinel. "Over 5,000 ships, including their super dreadnoughts." Captain Park nodded grimly. The hegemony was making its final stand where it had the most room to maneuver. Jupiter's massive gravity would give their ships tactical advantages, but it also meant Earth itself would be spared if the battle went poorly. "All remaining Earth vessels, form up," Park ordered. "We join the Armada fleet at Jupiter." The journey to Jupiter took the battle-scarred Sentinel 12 hours. When they arrived, Park saw the full might of the hegemony arrayed before them. A vast armada of crystalline ships glittering against the backdrop of the gas giant. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in the solar system's history. Facing them was the Black Armada, now joined by their allies the Nath, the Myth, and the Karen. Though still outnumbered, the Armada ships had proven their technological superiority in every engagement thus far. The hegemony transmitted a final ultimatum: surrender the forbidden technology or face extinction. There will be no further warnings. From the Armada flagship, Major Lee responded simply, "No." The battle began with a fury that made previous engagements seem like mere skirmishes. Jupiter's atmosphere rippled with energy discharges as weapons fire crisscrossed the space around it. Hegemony vessels used the planet's powerful magnetic field to boost their shield strength, while Armada ships used its gravity to perform maneuvers that defied conventional physics. The Sentinel joined a squadron tasked with protecting the Armada's flanks from smaller hegemony attack craft. Park's ship had been through numerous battles since first contact, each time surviving against the odds. This time, luck ran out. A direct hit from a hegemony cruiser overloaded the Sentinel's enhanced shields. Secondary explosions tore through the lower decks. Hull breach. Multiple systems failing. Lieutenant Kim shouted over the alarms, reactor containment at risk. Park surveyed his ruined bridge, now lit only by emergency lighting, and the fires that suppression systems struggled to contain. "All hands, abandon ship," he ordered, his voice steady despite everything. "Get to the escape pods." As the crew evacuated, Park remained at his post, ensuring everyone else got out first. Only when the final escape pod was ready did he leave the bridge of the ship he had commanded for 7 years. The small pod ejected from the dying Sentinel, joining dozens of others drifting away from the battle. Through its tiny view screen, Park watched his ship break apart in a final explosion. But the view also gave him a unique perspective on what happened next. The Armada flagship, where Major Lee had established his command, moved to the center of the conflict. It was the largest of the ancient vessels, stretching nearly 300 kilometers from end to end. Until now, it had held back its full capabilities, engaging in conventional combat alongside the other ships. No longer. The massive ship began to glow with energy unlike anything seen before. A field expanded outward from it in a perfect sphere, growing to encompass hundreds of kilometers of space. As the field passed over hegemony vessels, something strange happened. They stopped moving. Their weapons, mid-fire, froze in place. The energy beams they had launched hung motionless in space. Through the emergency communication system in his pod, Park heard Major Lee's transmission to the Hegemony Council. "We have temporarily altered the physical constants within this region of space," Lee explained, his voice calm yet filled with power that hadn't been there weeks ago. "Your ship's engines cannot function. Your weapons cannot discharge energy. Your communication is permitted only because we allow it." There was a long silence before the Hegemony Supreme Counselor responded, fear evident even in its crystalline voice. "This technology was sealed away after the Extinction Wars for good reason. It threatens the stability of space-time itself. Yet you forced us to use it," Lee replied. "This is but a fragment of what we once were. Recognize humanity's sovereignty or face the full awakening. We have more ships, more technology, hidden throughout the stars. The Black Armada you have witnessed is merely our local defense force." Park didn't know if this was true or a brilliant bluff. Either way, the demonstration had made its point. 3 days later, the Hegemony signed a treaty recognizing Earth and its colonies as sovereign territory. They agreed to withdraw all military forces from the solar system and to acknowledge humanity as equals in galactic politics. In the aftermath of the conflict, rebuilding began. The knowledge contained within the Black Armada provided technological advances that would have taken centuries to develop independently: clean energy, advanced medicine, FTL transportation. But perhaps most significant was the discovery Dr. Kang made while studying the Armada's historical records. "We weren't all on Earth," she explained during a presentation to the United Council. "Before the retreat, our ancestors seeded thousands of human colonies throughout the galaxy. They were hidden, disguised, their memories also wiped. Backup plans in case Earth fell." She displayed a star map showing dots of light representing these lost human worlds. Some may have advanced technologically in isolation. Others may still be primitive. All are our family. 1 month after the Battle of Jupiter, humanity's new headquarters was established in lunar orbit, a massive station incorporating both modern human design and ancient Armada technology. Captain Park stood on its observation deck, looking out at Earth. His new ship, the EDS Unity, waited in dock for its maiden voyage, the first of a new fleet that would carry humanity back to the stars. "We're not just reclaiming our place in the stars," Park said to Dr. Kang, who had joined him at the viewport. "We're reconnecting with our lost family." Nearby, Major Lee stood silently. His eyes still glowed with the blue light of his connection to the Armada. That connection had changed him. He was still human, but also something more, a bridge between humanity's forgotten past and its new future. "What will we find out there?" Dr. Kang asked. "More hegemony worlds, other enemies, and friends," Lee replied. "The galaxy is vast. The Armada's records show hundreds of species we once called allies." He turned his gaze toward the stars visible beyond Earth's curve, toward distant systems where other humans waited, unaware of their heritage, or the guardians that had protected them for millennia. "The awakening has just begun," he said. In the void beyond the lunar station, The Black Armada vessels maintained their silent watch, ancient guardians awakened from their long slumber, ready once more to protect humanity as it took its first new steps into the stars that had always been its birthright. The end.